All right, good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome in to another edition of NFT Live on the Web3 network. We're going to have ourselves a great episode covering the latest in the NFT and Web3 space. We're looking fresh. GIF, I actually, this is like way more blown out than I thought, but you get a look. You get like a nice
You're
little look.
looking amazing. That haircut, man. Y'all, give him some love. Let him know he's looking good. Your
So, hey,
boy's looking fresh.
some of us need to be ready for this metaverse dating. GIF. That's the real piece. Hopefully, my
Bro,
girlfriend's
it's
not watching.
it's it's gonna be wild. Yeah, it's like you think about how how we socialize today. How do we meet new people? So much of dating life already happens through the apps. And so we started to explore a little bit. What does dating in the metaverse look like? And that's actually a really fun topic that we dug into on the pilot that we shot yesterday for our new show, which I have not even I don't think I've shared publicly the name. Yeah. We're not gonna share the name just
I'm
yet.
looking
We're
for the
gonna we're gonna
link.
keep teasing that one. Yeah, find the BTS. Let's pull that up because we had a great time yesterday. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about. Besides hanging out with you, all of you amazing people. And getting to talk more about what's the state of the metaverse, all of that, all the headlines. This yesterday was a little bit of behind the scenes from Nova 3 Studios in Hollywood, which is first of its kind Web3 members only club and studios and a bunch of other stuff that's opening in Hollywood. That's Heroin. He was our special guest. And then Kelly Pantaleone, who's the co-host. We've got a new female co-host on the network coming online. She's amazing. She's an actor and Film 3 creator and also a Web3 consultant and working with Nova 3. And so anyway, it's very exciting to get to work with Kelly. And anyway, we shot that yesterday. It went really well. I'm very excited about it and to share more on that very soon. Now we just got to figure out our post-production process.
Yeah. You shoot the episode verse, then worry about all that post production stuff.
Yeah.
Got to get that out of the way. So not that Jacob needs any more on his plate right now, guys. We are here sitting, talking about the NFT space. There were a couple breaking news pieces this morning. Game of Thrones reveal did not go well. So we will touch on that in just a moment. Nothing from Yuga Labs yet. Nothing from Bored Ape Yacht Club. I expected to wake up to some amazing news that this trial of Jimmy was going to be all over the interwebs, and there was going to be this crazy mint, and nothing yet from Bored Ape. So we will figure that one out.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because I was going and looking and spending some time playing around on the website yesterday.
Okay.
It looks like it's just prepping for the mint so far. Like the mint's not for another couple days, right?
Well, okay, so here's the not to be the Yuga Lab show too early in the episode, but we were looking for the mint details. So everything has been a speculation up to this point. We've seen a monkey and a key butt, and we've seen a lot of other things in that sense, but no like actual legitimate details, which we were hoping to get to today. So still waiting for that.
I hope this becomes a new saying. Everybody knows the saying, "The key to my heart." I hope the key to my butthole, key to my butt. Sorry.
So
That's the new meta right there.
yeah,
Butt
very,
keys.
very 2023 of you there. All right, we are gonna get into some other stuff. I barely wanted to touch on this, but I told Marty we would. Apparently, we were getting told yesterday that the ape or the Hawaiian shirt that Curtis wears is somehow tied into alt-right hate groups and things like that. Apparently, completely debunked. This is Magnum PI. This is the shirt that my man was wearing on
Yeah.
Magnum
It was,
PI.
see, it came from somewhere else first. And
Mm.
that's the thing that a lot of people forget whenever you're making these conspiracies up. It's like sometimes you don't have the full context for what a lot of these symbols originated from before they were known for that other thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And yeah, I
that's fair.
actually love this as an example of what I think a lot of the larger conspiracy is,
Mm.
right? Like I think that you can tie a lot of this together and it can seem very suspicious when it's presented a certain way, but also a lot of it might not be attached to anything at all other than like, hey, here's some interesting design choices. I don't know, man. Look,
Yeah.
this is a whole thing. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
No.
Maybe that's there's not, but I think that this is a good example of everybody being like, oh, it's the fucking Proud Boys or some shit, the Boogaloo Boys, right? It's the fucking alt right. It's like maybe it's just Magnum PI is like a super famous icon, and that was the Hawaiian shirt before all Hawaiian shirts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and we're not going to make our way down this rabbit hole. I do appreciate this is one of the reasons we do like having Marty here, because he was the first one that was like, hey, this actually might be, you know, associated with Magnum PI and in the
shout out
Smithsonian
Marty
right now. Prodigy saying our vibe, our tribe. Got Trops is saying that's like someone still saying like I love Kanye's music. Okay. Okay, we want to have the Kanye conversation here early on NFT Live. Nox Darkness saying hi.
Some of his music's still pretty good. I don't know. All right, whatever.
Hold on, Aziz Ansari had a really good skit on this. It was like our ability to deal with someone's shortcomings is directly related to how good the actual like artist, for example, how good their music is. Like, not many people listen to R. Kelly anymore, and a lot of people still listen to Michael Jackson. They kind of did the same shit, but Michael Jackson is an icon when it comes to his music, so people put up a little bit more with his shortcomings.
I think the evidence also makes a big difference, though, right? Because as far as I know, with Michael Jackson, not a lot was ever like really out there public. I think some shit happened. Don't get me wrong. I think there was some weird shit going on between him and kids. Like, I totally do. But there's not like photos of him, or there's not like a bunch of kids out there right now, you know, crying, and you know, like the evidence doesn't seem to be as out there in the public eye. And I think with R. Kelly, there was a lot of very public evidence coming to light around him peeing on. Like, there was a tape, right?
Yeah, there was a full ass tape. I almost got silenced by YouTube. Yeah,
there was a P tape.
Okay.
I think that makes a difference. And this is one of the issues that Kanye faces, is that he's put himself out there. There's so much evidence of indiscretion. Let's just put it lightly.
I'm going to Kanye actively goes out there and like literally incriminates himself on a weekly basis. But I'm gonna stop all of this like talk here at the P tape talk. I think we're good there. Appreciate you starting the episode off on a great note, Marty. Thank you so much. We have a couple mints that are happening right now. We have some things to kind of review. We've been covering the Game of Thrones stuff. We had people that were associated with the project on the network.
I'm sad.
The IP.
I'm legit upset. I'm sad about this.
I think most people are, and the bad thing about this is it's going to continue to perpetuate the idea that like these brands cannot get into the space the right way when there's going to be ones that try to attempt to go about it the right way. We thought that's what Game of Thrones was doing.
But besides not getting into it the right way, one of the biggest parts of that whole narrative is the cash grab aspect, you know? And it's just like, dude, it wasn't like...
Okay.
Yeah, it hurts me to talk about this. Like, there's a lot to dig into, but like so much of these projects, when it's like the Batmans or the established IPs from the big studios and all these really, really famous, beloved IPs that are trying to enter into the space, they just cannot seem to do it right. Like, what is the project from an established like Web2 traditional brand that has done it fucking right?
Yeah. Okay, we're leaning into the conversation that we had yesterday, which has to do with revenue, right? Like, a lot of people are asking, why are they even coming out with this? What is this? Where is the incentive for the collectors? It's like, well, no, they're just trying to make money, which is something that a lot of projects in the NFT space past the primary sale don't have a good idea of. So let me lay the foundation. Guys, please leave a like on today's episode before we get started. We're jumping into quick news. And this will be the quick news. Again, I woke up to a Decrypt article. This is not NFT Plaza's NFT Evening, what you see on like the native NFT news platforms and things like this. This is like a larger crypto publication here saying crypto Twitter reacts to official Game of Thrones NFTs, the worst thing I have ever seen. And you can't really argue that much against it. It is apparently really hard to launch a 3D art NFT project. Although I'm not going to let him off the hook there. This was very bad. Loopify came out. There were a lot of big NFT Twitter influencers that came out.
Tim Ferriss did a 100 times better job. Like it's hard, but it's also doable if you give a shit and you take a little bit of time. Like these a large scale generative project with thousands of NFTs that is supposed to be a high quality collectible and like good art, this should take a minimum of like 6 months to develop if it's going to be good at all. A minimum. Like, yes, you can do it in less. You can do it in 3 months. If you've got a real, like a super talented, experienced team, you could do it in 3 to 4 months and still do hold a high quality, a high standard of quality doing it at that pace. If you've got experienced people who are like dedicated and really fucking care and are digging in and spending their whole fucking time trying to make it really good, you can do it in 3 to 4 months. But really, these projects, if they're going to be of any sort of artistic value at all, you need at least 6 months, if not 8 months, to do it well. These are not fucking easy things to do. And I'm getting heated because this shit pisses me off. It really does. When you've got Game of Thrones, one of the most valuable fucking IPs out there right now, it has one of the biggest communities. It is one of the greatest TV shows of all fucking time, some of the greatest characters and stories that have ever been told through the medium of television. You've got all of this, and then you've got several different companies with a bunch of resources, and you've licensed this amazing IP. Like, do better. How do you get these wonky fucking hands in your assets and just decide like that's cool? Like, we'll just fucking put that out there into the world and not expect that it's gonna be a shit show. But even beyond just the hands, if you look at the general quality, it doesn't even look that high quality.
We're going to take a look here at one of the NFT pieces, and we'll jump into the OpenSea. I don't think they're even being able to be sold on OpenSea, so I need to like look at which the.
I couldn't find them on OpenSea. Well, they're probably on Nifty's, right?
Yeah, they're on definitely on Palm, which is I believe a sidechain for ETH. A la Polygon. Gottrop's saying corporate greed doesn't make the masses happy on these events. OG so surprising. I think it goes a little bit past that. In like, if you want to be greedy and you want to make money off of us, that's look like that's capitalism. Like, make money off building a good product. Like, make the product good, make more money. It just seems a little bit. It almost just you get into the mindset of like, how could they fuck it up this bad?
I really don't understand it.
How do you fuck the weapon is floating, is floating in midair, and we've seen that. We've seen like hats on 3D art go through the ear like not the correct way. We've seen that, but this is bad. Like, yeah,
I honestly I actually don't understand how this happens other than complete incompetence and not doing any sort of real QA. Like rushing it to market, not doing any sort of real QA. Dude, the QA, the quality assurance part of these big projects should take you just as long as the actual art development. Like, it takes a lot of time and effort to actually properly QA thousands of high quality assets. And again, this is an example where they just fucking like created a bunch of stuff, threw it into a fucking a pipeline, a mixer, and they just exported it and just like, yeah, it'll be good. It's fine.
But there's no. This is where the NFT folks and why we're raising such a thing. It's because like somebody saw that and actually approved it for Go. Like that is absolutely fucking wild. You have to scrap that.
That's what I'm saying. Is that I bet there's just as good a chance that literally nobody looked at it and that's why it got approved. So that's what I'm saying. There was not a robust, when you've got thousands of assets, it takes time and effort to properly QA. And clearly there was not a good QA process. So either somebody saw this and said, yeah, that's good. Let's go to market with that. Or literally they went to market without even seeing what some of these assets looked like. I don't know which is worse. They're both equally bad because you get the same shitty result. And like it honestly hurts my heart to like be crapping on something that I was so excited about like this. Uh, but we gotta call a spade a spade. We gotta be honest. Like we shouldn't be excited when these big brands come into the space and take a bunch of money and liquidity out of the space and give crap back. Like, where's the value for your collectors? How are you setting up for a good experience when you haven't even put time and attention into creating good art? Like, this is a high quality cinematic HBO show. You should have good fucking art, dude.
Sorry, I've been muted for like the last fucking minute. But the sad thing is that the season 8 meme is such a low hanging fruit. Like Game of Thrones is already fucked up immense amount of times. Like I know this is like some offshoot. They didn't even really call it Game of Thrones. It was like build your realm. They had to like do some interesting
It's the
things with the
official
copyright.
Game
Though
of Thrones NFT.
it is, but it again like it is like this other team that's building it and took the IP and they fucked it up.
This is bad. It makes me real upset. I don't know how much time you want to spend on this.
I want to. Okay,
I'm
let's
genuinely upset about this.
Let's touch on some comments here. Winebags in the house. GM to Nifty Cutie as well. Winebags is saying, "Oh no, what did I miss?" Oh Jesus, I think is a relatively good way to put it. Oh my God, we got Alien River here. Let's see. Prometheans are better than this. Generative art over 3D art. Jack's Hideaway is saying 0. So what's the comment here? 0. I'm getting multiple comments. Did you ask a question? Those hands are needed.
I don't remember. I have no idea. I was lost in a fog of anger there for a minute. Just straight.
Okay. Couple details here.
Yetis look better all the time, bro, 100%. For sure. Yeah, Yetis they're gonna hold up. Yo, those I'm honestly wine. I might go sweep the Yeti floor today. I'm not even joking about that.
Jack Sideaway saying Tim Ferriss cares about every nuance of his personal brand. Hired an agency or third party art direction, and you're dead. Or hire an agency or third party. So that was part of the thing that Mo Runda was talking about. Was like this wasn't pitched as Nifty's taking the entire process top to bottom. But if you were here on NFT Live yesterday, Ronan was making this point. Ronan was making the point that like the choice to go top to bottom, start to finish with Nifty's is clearly a misstep here because they don't care as much about the brand as you're going to owning your own brand.
He did call it. He said Nifty's he just pointed out Nifty's track record is abysmal.
There was another thing that people were upset about as well. Also, Alan, Xerox Allen is calling this one of the worst NFT collectible drops already of all time. He put it up there with Pixelman and Azerbaijan. Nifty's is saying, so this was an update during the sale. So not only was the art what we're calling it right now, which is, bad to say the least, update on your build around public sale. We paused the queue temporarily to work through current transactions. Process payments that did not result in NFTs appearing in your wallet will be reversed or refunded.
So okay, my first experience, because I tried to mint. I somehow lucked out and like didn't end up minting because I was actively trying to mint during yesterday's GM Web3. So here's my first experience trying to mint through Nifty's. It seems relatively straightforward and streamlined at first. When you go to the website, they're like, "Hey, you're in a queue, and we'll drop you in." But then it's like you go from one queue into another queue. So I went from waiting on one page into another waiting page. And then at one point I closed my browser and it says, we'll let you know by email if you can select into know by email. But I closed my browser. And then when I came back, it restarted me back at the end of the queue. So it didn't remember my IP address or my email and put me back in the queue where I was. I went to the email. So basically I lost my space in line, I think twice. Then when I went to the email, it sent me a link, but I clicked on the link and it still reset me back at the end of the line. So even having the link in my email didn't put me back in the line. So that was already not a great experience. And I ended up not minting because of that. But then seeing this and seeing that even people's like transactions weren't working, And then the quality, like, it's not a great first experience for Nifties. I already wasn't a big fan of these like third parties that are focusing on these traditional, like onboarding big traditional Web2 brands into the space because they haven't been doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
This to me is just now another giant glaring example and a data point in that long litany of disappointments, because again, this was the first one that I was actually really excited about.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love Game of Thrones, and I was very excited about this.
Well, you put yourself out there too. I mean, we put the network out there. We had the Game of Thrones
Yeah.
team that was behind this on the network to talk about the vision and the strategy. We'll see what they come out with here in the next coming days. I do want to talk about the mint price as well. So we were on on OpenSea, which I would love to like hear that process as well, because Palm Network is a side chain of Ethereum. These are being listed in ETH and being actively traded, as you can see on OpenSea. 45 owners. So there's like an interesting piece here, like connected to the Palm Network and trying to get secondary sales on OpenSea. But floor price on OpenSea is 0.18, which I think is about what the. There's some interesting pieces here because the marketplace at total volume being 4 ETH, I don't think it's reflective of what's actually happening because the mint completely sold out. There's not only 45 owners. So it's not reflective.
I mean, already,
yeah,
but already having 40% listed, it's not a great sign. It looks like a lot of them are just trying to get their liquidity back out of it. They're pricing it around the mint price.
So mint price being $150.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere around there, right? That floor. Yeah, I don't know. Look, again, I really wanted and do continue to want this to succeed. I hope that they can de-rug this. You know what I mean? I hope it's, something that they can figure out. Hey, yeah, like admit fault where it's due, identify the issue, and figure out how to improve it and move this thing forward. I really hope that they can do that. Am I super optimistic? Just given this, again, it's like, dude, with NFTs, the NFT community and Twitter and the internet is so unforgiving. You like if you don't get shit right out of the gate, it can be very, very difficult to turn that narrative around and recapture people's attention and interest in your project. Usually you don't get all the same attention that you had no matter what. Like, you lose a lot of it and you're never getting that back. That's the big fuck up here, is that like you fucked up your one big moment to do something cool and you had all this attention, a bunch of people excited. A lot of those people are never going to give you another chance now. Mm-hmm. But like there are things that you can do to still like turn this around, but it takes people actually caring and putting in time, effort, and resources into this shit. Are they going to do that?
Again, the sad part here is that Game of Thrones has this kind of checkered past as it comes to their IP and what they did to it. So it's like a very low hanging fruit. I guarantee you if I go on to, but season 8 was fucking terrible. Like they ruined.
It was not that bad. People really overblew. It was sped up and not as good as some of the other seasons. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Probably the most cupcake way to sit. Like I've ever heard anything about season 8. They completely destroyed that franchise with that last season. I mean, everybody in chat was probably the same way, like anticipating all week when the Game of Thrones episode. I would like hang out with friends on a Sunday, watch Game of Thrones, and you're just sitting there during season 8 and being like, this can't actually be a thing. They're not actually doing this.
There was a few moments of incredulity, yes, which given, again, you're comparing that to the rest of the fucking saga, and that's why it feels so jarring. Yes. And you're like, so I do understand it. It didn't destroy my love for the IP and the whole show and the series and what it achieved and how great it was. It didn't destroy that for me, and I still enjoyed it to an extent, despite those moments where you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this? What the fuck? I get that.
I can understand your side of it. Like when new Star Wars IP comes out, I'm like, I just, even though these kind of suck, I kind of just am okay with it putting out.
You still enjoy it.
Rings of Power on the Lord of the Rings front that just came out on Amazon. not the best. It's not like the level that you
Yeah,
saw with Tolkien, but it was
it's
cool IP. But
it's good
at
quality.
some
Look,
point, you got to hold
I
them.
appreciated like look the fact that there's more really high quality, high fantasy being created. That's what I'm excited about. So even though like it kind of was like a background thing for me, and I was kind of in and out, like it didn't hold my attention the whole time. I enjoyed the immersive world and the characters and the acting
Yeah,
and the fucking set design and the production. Like
exactly.
it was really well done, and overall, I don't think hurt I don't think it hurt Lord of the Rings, and that's what a lot of people are worried about, right? And that's what we're talking about now is you take these cherished IP and then you somehow quote unquote destroy them, right? But you do something that is not up to the standard of quality and the expectation, and you hurt it somehow. Um,
It's unfortunately all
yeah,
too common in this day and age with film and media. Like you've seen the same thing with Star Wars. We didn't really get again to Rings of Power is good, but it wasn't this like life changing thing that the original Lord of the Rings was.
I don't
It
understand. Like, Here's what I really don't fucking understand. Okay,
we do have to move on,
Donald
but go ahead.
Donald Trump did a better fucking NFT project than Game of Thrones. Do you know how much that hurts me to say? like,
Yes.
like seriously, he used like stock image photos and made himself into a fucking like shitty, really lo-fi, bad quality 2D photoshopped superhero version of himself in a spaceman suit, and
So
it's way better than this. At least it was on Ethereum. Like, if nothing else, at least it was on brand. At least there weren't assets that were just completely fucking broken. At least he didn't try and do 3D and like botch it. You know what I mean? Like he knows his brand, and apparently whoever he's working with knows his brand better. And I don't know, man. I just
I
can't believe that I have to say that.
to something to your credit, right? To ease this pain that I'm hearing. The Trump NFTs aren't doing well on secondary. They're like almost completely just like non-existent on secondary. So hopefully that makes you feel better.
And honestly, I'm happy to hear that too. I am. You know what? Thank you. Thank God for that. Like straight
Yeah,
up, I am
yeah.
so happy to hear that. But
A lot of,
also,
lot of great comments coming through. Justin Casey saying, "Let it out, bro. Let that poison out. We hear you and love you." Jax Hideaway saying it also demonstrates that the Game of Thrones team doesn't really love their brand anymore either. I mean, they're going to get a lot of the blowback from a team that like a team that wasn't associated essentially like directly with Game of Thrones handled this drop. They had access to the IP and went with Nifties, and now the entire Game of Thrones brand is going to be thrown into this.
part
But
of part of what really infuriates me whenever these types of things happen with these big, again, these are the like transcendent moments that cross over into mainstream culture, because you've got these big famous Web 2 brands and IPs coming into the space, and so they get the bigger headlines. You know, you're talking about Decrypt Media, these bigger publications that aren't just NFTs focusing on it. You're going to see this probably in like some other non-crypto news. It pains me so much that we keep over and over and over basically having more reasons for people outside of the community to look at us like idiots. And that's what's so fucking frustrating, is that
yeah.
something like this becomes just another fucking Kim Kardashian moment
So
or Logan
it,
Paul moment or one of these other fucking big scammer FDX, Sam Bankman Fried. It's all these high profile fucking brands that keep shitting on the space, man. And like those are the things that actually transcend and get attention outside of it. It's so infuriating, man. And this is why we're hypercritical. Like we try and balance this line of being accepting and like open to people coming into the space, but then they keep doing it like this.
the metaverse play got brought up this morning on the morning show, and that example of like some EU organization having like 6 people in the metaverse. That is an analogy I would point to in this, where a non-native brand decided they wanted to attach a metaverse to whatever the fuck they were doing, failed completely, and now that's what most people hear. Oh, there's only 5 people in the metaverse. Like that's not true. these people just botched whatever they were trying to do related to the metaverse, and now we have to fucking pay for it. So I agree. I see all of the comments here in chat. We do have to move on from this Game of Thrones mint. Also in chat is going to be the poll: is this the best or the worst mint of all time? I just upped my audio there. Thank you so much, Prodigy, for doing that. But in chat, the poll is this one of the worst mints of all time? That was not on my bingo card this morning when I walked into Decrypt and it showed the Game of Thrones mint and how bad everyone's freaking out over it. I believe the mint price, we are below mint price at this point. So we talked about this yesterday with Nifty's too. We didn't expect to have a return. Like Nifty's does not have a good track record with return on investment for collectors. You have to be okay when you get into the Matrix, when you get into Looney Tunes, whenever you deal with the drops from Nifty's, don't expect to have those same values that we see in the NFT, PFP, and collectors and art on a return on investment. When they're dropping 100,000 Matrix NFTs, do not expect to fucking have a return on them. So
yeah, they keep doing this stuff that's completely extractive. It's not for the community. It's not going to create value for you. It's obviously a cash grab, and I'm sick of it. And I feel like, to me, this is the type of stuff where at this point people should stop fucking with platforms like Nifty's. Like just stop. Like why is anybody fucking with platforms like these when they keep doing this shit over and over? How long are we going to keep watching this happen and like buying into this stuff?
All right, we're going to move on to our next piece of news. I see all the comments in the chat talking about different mints happening. We will get to those. Please let me know. So I'll try to look those up on Twitter, right? But it would definitely help. Maybe dropping them in Discord because YouTube doesn't give you the availability to drop a link. We'll try to fix that or talk to YouTube support, or if that ever gets us anywhere, probably not. All right, next piece of news that I want to touch on. I've been covering the BONKz NFT stuff for a little while. We've been talking about BONK in the Solana ecosystem for a little while. A couple different things here. One, there are a lot of different flips that can happen on Solana right now. Like Solana tokens are doing pretty well. BONKz being one of them, right? The mint price for these was about 2 Solana. Floor is sitting at 18.7 right now. So
that's almost a 10x overnight. I mean, it's not
unreal.
bad.
Yeah, unreal. BONKz is obviously doing their own thing. We've been covering it again for like the last week and a half. The one piece that I want to get to, GIF, that I want to go with in real time, but also have the discussion is the marketplace piece. So BONKz used Launchpad, the MagicEden Launchpad, to launch this mint. They obviously did really well. It's sold out before public mint. It's at an 18.7 floor. But the issue lies in going with MagicEden, because TLDR, what happened here was if you use a MagicEden Launchpad, you cannot trade those NFTs outside of MagicEden. And this gets into the same conversations we've been having about marketplaces since what feels like the beginning of time. They're at odds with creators on almost every issue, and this is one of them. So this project BONK, which was launched as like a decentralized distribution of tokens that is like a very Doge mentality of like there's not one leader of this project. We'll see if we can fund community initiatives, all of this, like all of these Web3 ideals. And then you have MagicEden coming in here saying, oh yeah, you can't trade these BONKz NFTs outside of MagicEden, by the way.
Yeah, it's kind of like, congratulations, you played yourself a little bit here, right? It's like maybe it will retain some value within the MagicEden ecosystem, but you are now literally reliant on this marketplace, which again has already shown quite some ups and downs and some potential weaknesses, like over the last several months. Like there's no guarantee that MagicEden is going to be successful and be around in a couple of years. So I don't know. It's like, how did BONKz like not know that? You know what I mean? Like BONK token, like they just didn't know when they created the project. So I guess I'm confused how all these projects keep like going out there without these creators having any idea what's going on with their projects. Like they keep like it seems like people keep being fucking surprised by the shit that they're minting.
So to be clear, I think what's happening here is the Omni, which I showed on the screen here. So Omni Creative is the team that essentially is behind the launch of BONKz. The BONK token itself is supposed to be, again, like very open source. Like there's in the same way that Ethereum is run by the Ethereum Foundation, but really it's just this like ambiguous kind of amorphous, I don't know what you would even call it at this point, like protocol. That's what they're trying to do with BONK. So the BONK team, while they knew about the BONKz NFT, is not behind it. Omni Creative is. So it's a little bit,
Again, people outsourcing without doing their due diligence and actually talking to the teams that they're working with to sell their shit. I mean, this speaks to just a bigger professional problem in the ecosystem or the industry at large, right? People are not communicating or like clearly understanding what it is that they're even fucking selling. This is a problem to me. Like if your whole like look, it it would to me just feel like a little bit of a misstep and kind of unfortunate if it wasn't your whole ethos to be open source and then you
exactly.
realize, oh, literally
Yeah.
our fucking branded NFT, your bonk token and the bonks are stuck into a closed circuit. You are stuck into a closed garden ecosystem. And if that's like literally the antithesis of your brand, you just like fucked up like pretty big there. Like and again, I'm not trying to FUD it. We're just talking about like this is the controversy that is happening right now. And
Mm.
it's great that hey, it's pumping and it's you've got a marketplace that works at least for you. But this is what Instagram is doing with their marketplace. If you mint through Instagram, you're going to be stuck on Instagram. It's probably not going to be interoperable. So, if people hate Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, realize that now these crypto native marketplaces are doing the same shit, right? Like that's the same thing when you're basically saying no, screw interoperability, screw decentralization. It's our marketplace or nothing else for you, and that's what NFTs are. It's our marketplace.
As I was saying, similar mistakes in NFT metadata. How many NFTs are not stored on IPFS? FTX were all AWS links. How do we maintain the NFT images for the future? That's that dirty little secret of the NFT space right now, and in the blockchain space in general, is most of this stuff is not truly decentralized till we can move away from Amazon Web Services, and a lot of the space is not in that realm yet. We will eventually get there, hopefully. So the last thing I'll show on this is kind of the overview again on MagicEden. You can see BONKz is taking up the overall total, like not total volume. Let's see what we can do by total volume. DeGods, Utes, OK Bears. But if we go to like 24% change, I guess sales is probably what's putting BONKz up here. But yeah, it's a top project on the NFT marketplace on Solana right now. I think there is, and we've been touching on it for the last 3 weeks. We've been covering Solana since it was created. I literally had Anatoly, one of the founders of Solana, on here before the protocol even launched. So we're very blockchain agnostic. We know that. But I think it does benefit us right now to kind of look at the Solana NFT ecosystem, man. When a project can 10x in fucking
Yeah.
that
Well,
quickly.
there's a lot of other bullish signs. We were talking about it and covering some of this on GM Web 3 this morning, and one of the crazy things that is totally counterintuitive is that since the FTX scandal and downfall, total active wallets on the Solana network have 3x. They went from about 40,000 to 120,000. And that is a really really bullish indicator. And I think Justin might have even mentioned that at some point in his own way. But we were looking more into that today, and then you start to see things like this. They now have their own native token in BONK. There is a lot of excitement around that and the utility that is coming with that. BONKz is being one example of that. But also, again, like I don't know, this whole thing about it being stuck in MagicEden, I think is really unfortunate. So I don't know.
feels I think what they're like completely moving away from that OCP or whatever technical feature that was. I believe that they're trying to make it so it's obviously on an open situation there, or open trading, secondary trading, whatever
How
those
does that
things.
work though? Like, what can they do once it's minted to it in a certain contract, right? Like,
If you give me 2 seconds,
this is where derugging gets like really in the weeds, right? Because usually it's not easy to derug. If something technically like a critical error in like the code or a contract or something like that goes wrong, it can be incredibly hard to fix that or impossible once it's deployed
or
without doing
second
some.
airdrops, or
Yeah, you have to do
other
some really
ways.
extreme things that are not ideal at all usually,
Yeah.
which is part of why derugging is going to be a whole process.
Probably the best summarization of what you're looking for here comes from Omni Creative. Again, the team behind, or the team leading the foundation, if you want to call them, leading BONK right now, did not have much to do with the BONKz NFT. It was Omni Creative. This is from them. Tweet literally this morning. There will be some moving parts to this, and we will keep you updated on progress. In short, we want to allow frictionless trading of Solana NFTs used across multiple marketplaces and platforms, as well as easy wallet transfers, which, again, based on everything we just said, the initial way they rolled it out with MagicEden does not allow for that. So
But
we'll keep up with
so
it.
when they say this will have some moving parts, yeah, like what does that what does that mean?
I will give them the benefit of the doubt because the project itself
Yeah,
is not even a week and a half old. Like, I
yeah, of
know we
course,
want all the NFTs right
yeah.
now, but
I mean, we haven't seen the artwork yet, right? Who knows?
so I've got to leave a like to support GiftEd's Reddit Avatar Fund
Yeah,
here.
please. Oh yeah, we're doing a giveaway.
That's what I
Hold
wanted
up.
to transition into as a professional.
Let's do
I would
that.
like to do that.
Can we pull up the NFT Live tweet and just this will be a last call.
Can
We're
we?
giving away a Reddit avatar NFT on the show here in just a couple minutes. This is the last call. If you would like to get in on this giveaway, we're going to randomly select one winner to take one of my overpriced, overpaid for Reddit avatar NFTs out of the Nifty Castle wallet. So all you got to do is go to the tweet that Nifty Q just posted in the comments, like it, retweet it, and tag 4 friends in the comments with your ETH address. Include your ETH address. It makes it so much easier. Okay, that's it though. It's that easy, and you're entered to win. So go to that NFT Live tweet. If you just put it in the chat, like it, retweet it, tag 4 friends in the comments with your ETH address, and you are entered to win a Reddit, an OG Reddit avatar NFT. And that's going to happen in just a couple minutes. I'm going to do the random. I'm going to go, I find the entries, the people that did it. I go, this is what I do. I put the list of people, and then I do a random number generator. I basically just count down the list to whatever number. So that's how I randomly do these all the time. So you have a chance to randomly win one in just a few moments.
Hasher Rhymes is saying MagicEden used Open Creator Protocol to prevent listing on marketplaces that don't enforce royalties. So maybe they can still list them on marketplaces that do enforce royalties. I was under the impression that even the trading could not be happening on other marketplaces. That was kind of the initial impression I got from the timeline when I'm looking at this story. But Hash, I appreciate that update. Asmodai saying I don't have 4 friends. That's unfortunate, dude. You got 2. You got 2. We're up here chilling with you, and we will get into our next piece. Oh, you're muted. I think, is that me?
Well, I was saying, yeah, you got 2 right here, bud, but you can also include Ronan and Biggie. You got 4. You got 4 friends right there.
Easy 4 friends right there that you can
Easy.
take to the bank. All right, we are. Oh, shout out to Biggie, by the way, who is not on today's episode of NFT Live. He had some IRL touching grass stuff to do, of course, and I actually support that. I support my friends
Oh,
touching some
hell yeah,
grass
we support
every now and then.
all that.
Don't leave the matrix fully, but you can get
Touch
away.
some grass, smell some sky. You do you.
All right, still nothing from Yuga. Still nothing from Bored Ape Yacht Club. And it's the information about the mint is supposed to come today. I expected them to get that out early, so we're still following that. 75% of you said the Game of Thrones drop was one of the worst of all time in chat. feel like that's some recency bias there, but
Yeah,
I'll go.
it's rough.
I'll follow you
It's
down
rough.
that piece there. Okay, we've been talking about derugging here for a little while, and before the Gutter Cat Gang absolutely murders my ass for even just talking about them on YouTube, this is an update from the team. So, an update from the gang to the community. Basically, what they're saying here is that there's been a lot of FUD about the Gutter Cat Gang. I don't even know what the floor prices are at that point. That's how far I feel like it's gotten since their clone releases and all this stuff. A project that was once seen as, I think, a blue chip in the space. Like Gutter Cat Gang was very early on in the NFT PFP life cycle. They had a lot of really cool branding, like activations. They had a lot of events. A GutterCon in Vegas, for all intents and purposes, looked dope. The first one, at least. But there's been a lot of negative press and what seems to be just negative sentiment in the community. So they're calling this Gutter 2.0. They're saying we're adding, along with our brand that we were focused on in Gutter 1.0, which is everything that's happened up to this point. Now we're going to be a community. We're going to be focusing on the community in this 2023 and beyond. So let me get the actual words from my man Gutter Mitch himself.
I've been wondering what's been going on with GCG. It seems like they've been very quiet, and I've been like going around looking at the floors. Like, is it a good time to buy in? Like,
That's
I
the
don't
question. That's a question for a lot of PFPs, but for Gutter Cat Gang itself,
Yeah.
it's like you have this reputation, or seemingly you had a reputation of being this like OG project. Is it a good time to get in? All right, so look, here's the summary right here. The theme of our first chapter has been brand, and we think we've done an amazing job on this front. Gutter has more staying power and a better chance of mainstream widespread adoption than any Web3 brand in space.
I don't know about that.
With that being said, we haven't been putting enough emphasis on a fundamental aspect of Web3, building in public alongside the community, and we're ready to change that. The theme of our second chapter is brand plus community. So Gutter Cat Gang with a little bit of a derug. I know that I'm being a little facetious on that.
They're not a
They
rug.
absolutely rug. I know. I'm gonna get in
Yeah,
trouble for even saying that.
we've gotta find ways to get more nuanced. I mean, look, there's now
we need to update our verbiage.
well, there's now slow rug. That's like sort of like a more nuanced. I like, we need more of these like more nuanced, I think. Verbiages, if you will, because I don't think Gutter Cats is a rug at all. I think it is. I don't know if it's the Web3 brand with the most staying mainstream power. That's a stretch.
Objectively wrong.
Yeah, but it does have more than a lot, more than maybe most, you could say. And that, like, I've been watching the floors because I am still kind of bullish on them. Honestly, besides the fact that they're like OGs who have accomplished a lot and had a lot of success, and the art's not even that bad compared to a lot of the other shit that's out there. I've had a really good experience at their events. Mm-hmm. Like the quality of their live IRL activations is top notch. Like it's really good.
Agreed.
And their merch is cool, super cool. So they've done a lot of things right. I think again, the way that they scaled their tokenomics, the way that they scaled it out as quickly as they did and rolled it all out, I don't think was very successful. And I
think if you asked them if you could go back and wave a magic wand and like redo a little bit of the tokenomics with like the NFTs they released and marketing the gang token the way they did, they would say they go about it a different way.
Tokenomics is a science, and it's not easy. And most people that are doing these projects are not doing it that particularly well. I think this is what's been also. This is why, like, to take another brief look at ApeCoin and Yuga, this is why everybody was really concerned around ApeCoin and its impact and would it succeed or not, because this stuff can be really hard to like manage the supply, the demand, create more demand, keep the demand high while increasing supply, and then add in staking and different other risk factors on top of that.
So
tokenomics are very, very hard.
Gutter Cat. So speaking of the tokenomics, just TLDR, they released right gutter dogs, rats, and pigeons over the certain amount of time, and then also had clone vial releases that weren't like they weren't rolled out the most efficiently. I think there was like some delays on that front. But anyways, the original Gutter Cat gang is 112 in total market cap when it comes to Ethereum PFP projects. Gutter dogs 246, 273 for the rats, and 282 for the pigeons. I mean, that's, dude, 112. Like, I would love to even see what the 90th. Like, there's going to be some we have no idea about in the 90th range. Okay,
I mean,
so
there's so many projects that, to be honest, like being in the top 500 projects is actually a really big achievement in my opinion. I mean, obviously, like, you know, you want to see it higher. I get that.
Well, a project at Gutter Cat Gang's reputation and pedigree, right? Being one of the first NFT PFP projects. Dude, people lose sight of that. Like, GCG should be up there with, like, Doodles and fucking, I wouldn't call it Bored Ape.
It's an OG. It's an OG for sure. And I agree. I think it will survive. The question is, like, how well will it do from here? You know what I mean? Like, I think it'll live on. I think it'll survive. But what does that look like, and how big and successful can it be if they can't kind of turn the momentum around a little bit? Which obviously that's
too.
People bought into that around like 25 ETH, huh? There's probably people buying that at 100 ETH, you know, if they were trying to get rare ones and shit and speculate, like, but I know the floor was up around like 23, 24 ETH or something. So seeing art gobblers quickly down to 2 ETH, that's rough.
Okay, so original collection 1,700, or what's the original collection of Gutter Cat Gang? Like 3,000?
3,000. I think each of them were 3,000, and so then they went to basically like 9 or 12,000. I guess they scaled to 12,000 really quickly. But then the clones on top of that was a lot.
The clones, Nick Swervis was trying to tell us about this. Like, the clones were somehow deflationary. So I own a pigeon. I own a dog. I own the OG cats. I just never did the vials. Like, I never did the Clone X vials. Or not Clone X vials, but the vials for the clones. So look, man, like Gutter Cat Gang, again, we just mentioned the reputation, 3,000 on the supply at 1.8 for the OGs.
That's why I've been watching the floor. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily a bad entry to an OG PFP with an established brand. I think like it is interesting. Like, what is it? Obviously, it seems like their tokenomics didn't go off as successfully as they hoped. But like beyond that, is it just the general toxicity? Is it like the sort of gutter mentality that maybe hasn't been as like caught on and become as popular? Like, because I'm curious. Like, you do think like there's a lot of reasons why it should be in the conversation more. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they just haven't. Maybe it's like that they haven't innovated enough with the technology and the utility. Like, beyond IRL events, cool merch, which again a lot of other projects do, and then more mints, just like more tokens. Like, there's not really any utility.
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's probably a big.
It's a little bit complex to unpack there, but what you like to see in like a Bored Ape ecosystem, which at one time wasn't as far-fetched to say like they were in the same realm of projects, but what you saw with Bored Apes was like all these initiatives done by the community. Is that happening in the Gutter Cat Gang right now? I feel like also communication. Like the community is complaining that there hasn't been a ton of communication, not only on the gang token front, but in general.
Definitely. I agree with all that. I think the community makes or breaks it, and it seems like that's what they're literally addressing. It seems like they've realized that like the community actually isn't that good or strong or quality. And this is, this gets back to things like why the application meta or some of the like the more quality control, curating the community, I think is still a really interesting way to go about building, because yeah, it's a lot of these projects that sold out and like had these quick rises that attracted a lot of flippers early on. I don't know that they've ever established really good, strong, reliable, sustainable community. And to be clear, like I do think Gutter Cats has a passionate community, because like we get like, you know, I think you said like the first time that you ever sort of like talked down on Gutter Cats or like questioned Gutter Cats at all was one of the most viral videos that you did, because the community came out and, you know, flamed you like super hard. So like Gutter Cats has a passionate community, but I think the question is what kind of community, to your point, like how active, how interested, how invested, and are they the type that will go, to your point, take on leadership roles and initiatives for that brand?
That's what you're looking for.
That's not an easy thing to sustain, to build and then sustain, right?
Yeah. I want to touch on Squashman's comment here. It seemed like GCG had a lot of momentum leading up to their gang token, but seems like after the SEC probe into Ape and lack of comms, that's when it started to fall off. So appreciate those comments there. I'm sure we have a lot of community members that are holding some type of gutter token.
Yeah,
you know, whether that be pigeons or.
I bought into it on speculation around the coin drop, and obviously I'm not happy that they fell off the map with comms on that. Like,
I think we'll wrap up here on the Gutter Cat gang, but for a 3,000 supply, and I'm just specifically talking OG here, right? Like that's where I would spend some of my time, but like 1.6, that's not, you know, that's not bad. If and when the NFT space, you know, in general comes back, something that has that low of a supply and price.
NFA, DYOR, but I agree.
Hit him with this is not financial advice ticker.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list, like my short list of floors that I'm watching. Like,
okay,
yeah.
What else is on that list? Anyways, let me get to some of these comments here before we move on. Marty McFly saying they did just get a little too gutter. Jack Sideaway saying attention is attention. Looks like Prodigy saying LOL, that community about to come for y'all's head. Y'all remember the last time Q talked about G's? Okay, yes, I get it. NFT Cutie, my NFT trade of a rugged NFT up to a blue chip is still on. Let us know the update there. And then I wanted to point out Jack's Hideaway with a great event here that's upcoming. Come feels is some exceptional IRL jazz tomorrow night, the 7th anniversary of Campus Jacks, our club in Newport Beach. Look, shag rugs, throw pillows, turf, indoor, outdoor.
Who doesn't love a good shag rug? God. Especially in the bathroom. That's where you really love to see a shag.
Right next to the urinal. Love to see that stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, real quick. All right, we have a winner. I did the random generating. Not that many people participated. So I don't know. People sleeping on these Reddit avatar NFTs. But congratulations, the one, the only. You know, it's somebody who's been participating a lot on our GM Web3 morning show and bringing some interesting alpha. So NFT Cutie, you won. You took it home, bro. So congratulations. Make sure that I get your ETH address so I can send you your Reddit avatar NFT. Congratulations. Well deserved, and I'm happy for you.
Absolutely.
I'm sad. I'm sad for me. Happy for you.
Bringing the alpha there as well on the GM Web3 morning show, like always has a mint that is ongoing. We need that information. Man.
Some of them better than others, but you know, he's there with it, and that's what matters.
Butt pics, already a rug that was brought up this morning. There were a couple, I think, Greycraft mint. That's what Asmodai was saying. So I haven't seen that mint. I would like to at least pull some of these up, but I want to get into the last piece of, you know, quote unquote quick news that we had.
Can we also make sure to touch on feet picks, because the floor is up to 0.085. I'm just saying.
I'm not giving any platform to pixelated feet picks. No. That's some nice. You're in LA. You don't need to be wearing like cush socks and like nice cushy sandals. Are those Uggs? Get off my screen.
They're fugs, bro.
God. All right. Last piece of quick news here. Kevin Rose with the announcement. Today, we're excited to announce that Proof XYZ has signed with United Talent Agency. Working together, we'll be focused on partnerships that extend Moonbirds far beyond our existing Web3 audience, transforming Moonbirds into a global brand. What does UTA bring to the table? They're 1,400 people strong with divisions in film, television, music, video games, sports, books, branding, and licensing, just everything that could ever exist in the world. And UTA's entered Web3 with a force led up by Leslie Silverman, head of Web3 at UTA. What do we think about this? I wish we had our resident Moonbirds supporter and owner, Biggie Poppins, here on the channel. I'd love to hear what he has to say. But good move for Moonbirds to partner with UTA.
Yeah. I don't see why not. I mean, you want to keep growing your team and get more opportunities to brand build and partner. Like, yeah, if you're building an IP, yeah, I think it's, we were seeing quite a few of these announcements a couple months ago. You haven't seen a lot of it recently. So I think, to me, it's good to see more projects, start to transcend in these ways and build into Web 2 and, expand their teams into different types of agency representation and things like that. I think it's bullish. I think it's bullish for them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a much negative talk around this move here. It can only help them expand the brand. I guess maybe the only potential negative that I could see is if the agency isn't, like, again, that Web3 native focus where they know how people move, what people value, and they botch it that way.
Yeah, it always has to do with the specific qualities of, like, what types of opportunities and partnerships they start to wet in, to their brand and how they move with their brand. So I don't know. I think, like, it seems like Kevin Rose and that whole crew are pretty smart in general. The only big, like, hiccup that I've seen from them so far was I thought it was just kind of shitty that they went to CC0 without consulting the community after they sold the NFTs with the IP rights. Mm-hmm. That was the only thing so far that I've seen from any of it where I was kind of like, whoa, that seems like a misstep or, like, not very Web3 of you. Other than that, it seems like they're doing a lot of awesome things.
I agree with that. Marty McFly saying Snoop Dogg over UTA because he got his paws in everything. I thought I remembered United Talent Agency. UTA still represents CryptoPunks, right? Definitely represents Deadfellas. So this project, I believe, is associated with Yuga as well. I don't know if in the acquisition that went away or what have you, but I'm almost positive I've seen UTA on multiple different NFT projects at this point. Marty McFly saying, I saw feet at 0.01, but I couldn't justify it. You live and you learn. Asmodai saying, thought armpit NFTs was the next thing after feet. Do not buy any of these NFT derivatives that have to do with pixelated body parts. Stop.
I don't know, man. My feet pics are doing pretty well right now, bro. I bought it as a joke. So
you're perpetuating this derivative.
Don't be like me, yo. Don't be like me. Do not follow my example. I'm the guy who bought Cock Punch at the top just to get some shits and giggles out of a live show. All right, do not be like me.
Okay.
For every feet picks, you have 5 cock punches, 5 punches right in the cock. So.
Yeah, and I don't want to get banned here on YouTube, but the next derivative here is ass pics. Is the next largest derivative that we're seeing from feet pics. So
almost 3,500 transactions on that. Come on, y'all.
So feet pics, 2,600. Yeah, sales. We got a bunch of borrowing, selling. Although, again, this is what you're gonna see, not just for most mints, but, like, from these derivative mints as well. Like, here,
what's what's Gods on? Can we go back up to Gods Unchained? What's up with Gods Unchained? It looks like it's doing well.
Are you gonna be a pro trading card player?
I mean, look, as far as like NFT games go, one of the only ones that I've had like a real experience with that I actually found enjoyable was Gods Unchained. I actually think the game's kind of sticky and fun. I think the art is pretty cool. Um, I haven't kept up with it because again, it feels a little bit grindy and like I don't really see where the value is. But I guess some of the assets are trading well. Like
I can't get behind, and I was at a trading card store the other day, and I could pull up a pic of some JPEGs in their primordial form, as I called them. But basically, like Pokemon cards just sitting in glass cases. I thought it was a really cool way to look at the ancestors of JPEGs. But I wanted to talk to the trading card guy and be like, how does your industry deal with pay to win? Because clearly the best cards are bought up by the people with the most money, and therefore they're able to play the game the best. It doesn't seem very egalitarian to me when it comes to like most of the games that we play.
it's
the
not.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
and yet it's still this huge fucking industry. So, yeah. No idea. I want to take a look at Crypto Slam while we had it pulled up. BONKz sitting there up at the top spot. Solana taking the number 1 spot in sales volume here. Azuki's,
What site is this?
this is Crypto Slam.
Oh, this is okay.
So
I got it. You just said that. Duh.
yeah. So again, if we go down, feet picks coming in at the 16th highest in volume traded there. Yeah, don't get caught up buying ass picks. Okay, at least NFT ones.
But those feet picks though.
Are you up 2x? Are you up 2x on feet picks?
More than 2x, bro. It was up, dude. Yesterday it jumped up to 0.12. It's come back down, but now it's going back up again. I bought in at 0.03. That's when we called it on the show on GMWeb3. I said, hey, you know what? This is just dumb enough to work. YOLO. And I fucking bought some feet picks live on GMWeb3 at 0.03, and now it's above 0.08. So you do the math on that. It's getting back close to a 3x in a matter of days.
I want to copy. Apparently, NFT Cutie wants to copy trade you. I was gonna say the opposite. I want to like take the opposite side and see if I can make some
what's
trades.
Contrary trade me? Trade me?
Who's my man from Fast Money? God damn it, forgot his name. Wow.
Praying to the money gods. Yeah, I don't know.
Someone's got. Help me in chat. Who's the Fast Money man that we need to counter trade here?
Jim Cramer. No.
Jim Cramer. There you go. It is Jim Cramer.
That is Fast Money, isn't it? I thought that was one of the other CNBC shows. Fucking Jim Cramer. Dude, yeah, that's a con trade for sure.
I would watch that show if he had a show like Fast Money on NFTs. I would fucking watch that. As when I said,
and then fucking sell everything that he talks about.
Squashman saying GIF is the Jim Cramer of NFTs. There it goes, coming full circle now.
Wow.
In TCGs, there's always combos of cards to play off of weaknesses of more powerful cards to balance the play more. So as long as the balance team is getting after it, you're fine. All right, we're going to move on. We did want to have a metaverse discussion here. That's the literal thumbnail of the show.
We did. Yeah. How many times? Okay, here's a question. How many times does our thumbnail actually correlate to what we talk about?
I always go in and edit it afterwards if that is the case. What do we see on the screen here? This is the digital collectibles terms of use from Instagram. I just linked it in the chat. If you want to know how Instagram is treating their NFTs, I recently stumbled upon it when we were talking this morning because, again, Instagram is slowly rolling this out to a lot of their creators, and this is going to happen slowly over time, especially with their rollout not on blockchains other than on Polygon. So right now it's simply Polygon. There's some other pieces in there that talk about if you can trade it. That's the main thing I'm looking for. Can you trade these NFTs outside of Instagram? Can you transfer them to another wallet? What are the
did you find an answer? My understanding is if you mint it through Instagram, you're stuck on Instagram's marketplace probably.
I would almost see the issue here is I don't know if there's a native wallet that they have set up like Reddit there on their ecosystem. Like the Reddit vault isn't a private wallet or a cold wallet until you want it to be. If that makes sense. So they literally hold on to it, and then at some point you can transfer or create a new
Yeah.
wallet and have that. Anyways, I don't know if Instagram has a wallet that's native. I think it's just literally connects to your MetaMask. So if that's the case, then it
But
is
that's but
transferable.
but I think we're conflating different things here, right? Because there's the Instagram marketplace where you can buy and sell, and then there's just like the integration that lets you display and share. These are not the same.
There is also another piece, and I was making my way through this, so we definitely want to like do a deep dive. Maybe tomorrow we can come back after reading. Like I read the
Yeah,
entire thing, but
let's
while we
read
were
it first before we.
well, I want to get the people the info. The one thing I did see was
Oh.
there is a soft minting feature where they have essentially it's set up where like they're not minting the actual token until
Soft
somebody
minting is an interesting word. It's
until
lazy
somebody
minting,
buys
right?
it. Lazy or
But
soft. Yeah.
yeah,
I've heard it
I
said
haven't
both
heard
ways.
it. Huh.
So again, one of their features is they wait until someone actually buys the NFT to then
Mhm.
mint the actual like NFT onto the Polygon blockchain.
Very smart.
So
Because there's going to be a bunch of crap that nobody ever buys.
So
For
again,
sure.
we linked that out. If you want to take a look, the primary things we're looking at, right? Can you transfer the NFT off? What does the ownership look like if you mint within Instagram? We just saw the MagicEden bullshit from a native Web3 marketplace saying you can't trade the shit, anywhere else. There's probably some ownership things that come along with that as well on Instagram. Like, do they actually own the NFT or do you? Do they own the images or do you? All questions that you can answer yourself, or tune in here tomorrow when we give it a deep dive and we'll have it on the thumbnail and talk about it, I promise. All right. Last topic of the day. We are getting into the metaverse. Is the metaverse dead? Is gaming dead? These are all the topics that we talked about here on the GM Web3 Morning Show, and we want to talk about right now and kind of bring it full circle and talk about whether are there games that people are actually playing right now in the thousands that are associated with NFTs and Web3? Is the sandbox
Gods Unchained, apparently. Well, okay, on the sandbox front, maybe I can find this article and pull it up again. Apparently, during season 3, Jesus. All right. Apparently, during season 3 of the Sandbox Alpha, they had 400,000 people playing, like 400,000 active users, something like that. I'm going to try and pull this up just so I get it right. But actually, it sounds like pretty impressive monthly active usership and engagement going on.
I want to be very clear here too that the way that the industry is set up right now, in the same way that we were talking about Solana with Justin over the past week, and we were talking about Polygon and there not being like activity, well, that's just trading. That's just how we look at certain blockchains and say what's healthy and what's not. It's because people are actively trading. There are people that walk into the sandbox game, or in Decentraland had this issue too, where people were playing the game but not trading the assets, and therefore the stories came out like people are not joining Decentraland and not playing. It's like, no, they just weren't buying and selling the land pieces and the avatar and the items and all of these different things.
The items, yeah.
So I feel like the stats just are a little misleading, and we have to get some clarity around this stuff for gaming as well, because there's probably more people playing Gods Unchained than there are buying and selling on the daily.
Yeah, there's a lot of data out there, and there's not that much really good analysis is the issue. Like, there's a million data points, but like a lot of it is used in very misleading ways or not fully contextualized. We try and do our best up here. I know we're not always perfect either. But here's an interesting article that I didn't get to this morning. The metaverse could be worth 5 trillion by 2030. Because there's still this tremendous amount of positive sort of momentum, and a lot of that even coming out of CES. Surprising amount of the innovation in tech at CES was around metaverse, which I was kind of surprised to hear that. Really, honestly, I didn't think that like people would be focusing a lot of energy and resources right now on providing a bunch of senses in the metaverse. Given the amount of adoption that it's seen so far. But apparently now being able to smell and feel what it's like to fall off of a building is like a big focus for a lot of tech startups.
I'm just not focused myself on VR. Like VR is just not where I think the short term, and when I say short term, I mean like the next 2 to 3 years, just not where I
It's
think
AR.
it's going to be AR, it's going to be mobile, it's going to be browser based. I feel like I get caught up talking about VR when like we've been talking about VR for the last 10 years and it's not that far along. Like I don't get me wrong, I put on the headsets, I've walked on the plank. It's a absolutely exhilarating experience to like be at the top of a building walking a fucking wooden plank. They're cool experiences, but at scale, like where everyone's using them and therefore the network effects are where they need to be. It's niche.
Yeah. So, all right, let's look at this real quick because I actually think this is interesting, right? Because there's what we see right now in terms of the data from the last few months that's not always that great, but also again, there's different anecdotes and Sandbox season 3, which may or may not have had hundreds of thousands of people versus the actual transaction volume versus the prices of all this virtual land coming way down. So it hasn't been the best in terms of what we've been seeing the last few months from metaverse adoption and active users. But then you've got the bull stories, right? So CES, a lot of innovation around the tech. Then let's pull up this article real quick. So here's the other side of this, right? Like people still looking out 5-10 years. McKinsey, big consultancy reporting that they believe it could be worth $5 trillion by 2030. That's a massive industry, stating that new tech has the power to significantly change both personal and office life, which we all know is true. They state it could be $1 trillion economy in the not too distant future, leading management. Potential for tech and its use cases across a variety of consumer and business apps could lead it to being over $5 trillion. Report also states Metaverse can reach its full potential once certain technological advances happen. These advances include systems for AR and VR and sensory technology, which again, that's what we're highlighting. A lot of that happening at CS right now, haptic technology as well, being part of that, and then interoperability, etc. There needs to be more open standards to allow for seamless communication between different systems as well. But they think that by 2030, 50% of global live events may be occurring in the metaverse. So that's what's leading into this. But I think this is also interesting right here. And that's that where are we at today? As of today, they call the metaverse a medium adopted concept. I haven't really heard this term medium adopted or know exactly what that means definitionally. I don't know that we're even the medium adopted and what I think of as like mass adoption. But
I would say one anecdote there is like the fact that Metaverse or Meta has been the rebrand for Facebook is probably an indicator of like, hey, here's a little bit of a bigger adoption. Go ahead.
That's true. And then again, you do see a lot of bigger companies getting into it in different ways, or at least building some infrastructure. So yeah, maybe to your point, it's like there are big players that are adopting it. It's just the mass consumer base is not necessarily there yet. But the highest adoption rates of the metaverse come across the marketing, learning, and virtual meeting industries right now. However, major players in big tech realize the potential for the technology and have already built metaverses in preparation for the future. And this is, I think, the interesting, again, like we talk a lot about infrastructure and like the gaming industry. A lot of the big game publishers have been experimenting with blockchain now for years, but they're just preparing for the future. Like they're not going to rush out anything right now. Even though the metaverse of today is an unknown known in our daily lives, there's a high probability that most future interactions may occur within them, including dating, which is a fascinating topic that we're going to dig into more on our new podcast pilot. But yeah,
you should just start a series. Just like start your metaverse dating series and see how you do.
Fun fact, when I first moved to LA, it was when the swipe right, swipe left Tinder just launched in New York and LA. And I had a podcast called Tinderized.
Wow. Can we pull that up? Is there still
I removed it all offline because there was extremely personal, incriminating stories on there. And you know what? I was dating a very Christian girl at the time that I got briefly engaged to, and she didn't want it out there. And I capitulated to that. I said, you know what? That's fair. If we're going to start a new life
Wow.
as a good Christian couple, I will remove my Tinderized, incriminating podcast from the internet. But I did 10 full episodes with co-hosts with some relatively famous comedians actually coming on.
You learn something new every day. This is how I felt when
Yeah.
Biggie Poppins was telling us that he's a translator for Brazilian pickup lines. I would
Yeah,
love
he has a book.
yeah,
Right?
I need to get this guy. I need to get the name again because he used like some pseudonymous name.
I love Biggie. He's
Uh,
also into good toasts, making good toasts, which you know what,
True.
just discovered that, and I'm all about the toasts. So
Okay, so I want to get to some comments. We had some good ones come through while Gifted brought down the heat there on a metaverse thesis over the next couple of years. Squashman saying, I think the metaverse activity we saw over the last 2 years was a product of peeps being locked inside. Once things opened up again, people started touching grass and being less involved, myself included. Jack Sider was saying, quarantine certainly a factor. I believe it set the bar for the next all-time high in a non-quarantine market. Metaverse is a tough discussion. I don't want to get like lost in the sauce on it. I think you mentioned Sandbox, and I want to pull up some other volumes of what we see today. Here's the thesis on Sandbox, right? You can either look at this and say like this is just a bunch of like hyper speculative like NFTs that will never have any utility and they will continue into the future, not providing any utility for landowners and things like this. Or you look at the composability of what this map means, and that's kind of the bull thesis here. Is like look at the amount of NFT projects, the amount of individuals, the amount of different IP that is associated with this. What can only be described as probably the closest to Ready Player One that we have in the space. I mean, you see, like each one of these little small boxes is gigantic, and what you have here is a full, essentially, ecosystem of the largest IPs in the space that if they can develop it, you'll have what we essentially were calling like the metaverse New York City. Is this the area that will have a lot of value for brands in the future? Are there going to be hundreds of thousands of people in this location or in this ecosystem in the future? And that's what you're betting on. So as much shit as Sandbox get,
look at the Smurfs over there.
As much shit as this Sandbox gets, this gives me a little bit of goosebumps when you see what could be possible in an environment where all of this is owned by the players, like legitimately. It's on a fucking decentralized blockchain. The assets are there. You have that ownership, and you have what could be like ownership rights in the metaverse, and that's what they've been able to build out. It's tough to see that, but if you look at this and say, hey, this could eventually be the New York City or a New York City, a large, city that people want to be interacting with on the daily, I think that you could make that argument. You could say that there's good foundations here for what they need to build.
I agree. There's a big foundation. Again, everything's very short term mentality a lot of the time, and sometimes it's good to take. This is a nice bird's eye view, right, of the development that is happening on Sandbox specifically, and gives a good bull case for why Sandbox is probably still going to be here for a while, and it's probably one of the better bets in terms of virtual land right now. Yeah, massive partnerships, massive brands, a lot of development happening. It's just, when you don't see it, the active usership and like having reasons to go in there every day, it's hard to understand, right? But
true.
But there's a lot of potential.
This is DAP Radar's analytics, kind of like not voted on, but like dropped down by criteria of volume, right? So we're getting like a major volume on.
I'm impressed that Gods Unchained is doing as much as it is right now. That's great. I'm actually happy to see that. It means that as dead as NFT gaming is, there's still stuff happening. People are still out there.
Axie Infinity taking up the top spot. To Gift's point, Gods Unchained has been around for a fucking long time. as it's related to like Axie Infinity and Gods Unchained are probably, you could make the argument that they're the two oldest projects in the NFT space that are still active. They were created, what, I think in that 19, maybe 18, 2018
Sounds about
timeframe.
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know
Uh,
specifically. You one other quick thing, since we're talking about metaverse and like the future and like why, like the kind of the bull case of like, where all this might be going. One of the sort of darker truths about the world that, is highly relevant when we contextualize things around the pandemic is that we already know that like a lot of the macro trends around technology are going towards increased adoption, increased screen time, more people on devices, being more separated. But then also, if you look at like what's been happening with the COVIDs and the different viruses, a lot of different also environmental issues. Like the environment isn't getting better anytime soon. It's actually getting worse. There's been more natural disasters over the last few years than is average, right? Like it's been increasing, and I think again, if we're being honest about the reality that we live in, probably a lot of our lives we're going to be dealing with pandemics, natural disasters, a lot of this different stuff. All of these create more reasons to rely on digital technology to connect us. And we might have more pandemics in our life where we all get forced inside. Will they be handled differently? Sure. But if you look at what's happening in China right now, like I don't know how well it's being covered because they control the news really, really tightly. But as far as I know, COVID is actually like killing a ton of people in China right now, and they're like struggling. Like
yeah.
it's still a thing.
Well, I also, just to give some context on the China piece, because the information I'm seeing is that they have been in lockdowns since, not since, obviously it's been like an open and closed situation, but like
They
that
keep
the
having to go
populace,
back
and
into
that
lockdown.
the populace is kind of revolting against that a little bit. They're like, this is not going to
Yeah,
continue to happen. We're not going to have these like major city lockdowns for the remainder of our lives. So yeah,
yeah,
that's
and I think lockdowns aren't always going to be a solution. Obviously, like humans can only take so much of it. But the point is, like with all of these trends, all of this impacts our reliance and interest in digital devices, screens, how we interact through the internet, all this type of stuff, right? And that's why the Ready Player One seems feasible or like realistic, is that we all get driven more and more into our own little bubbles, our own little worlds. I mean, look at how many people are even having, uh, sex, or even like, I don't know what YouTube does with the word, you know what I mean? But like, how many people are actually hooking up anymore? Like in millennials and Gen Z, the rate of people hooking up is like dramatically lower than previous generations. So I just think that the truth is that this is where things are going for better or for worse. And it's hard for me not to see the metaverse and whatever, whatever versions or iterations or expressions that takes, it's going to be here and it's going to be a big part of our lives.
I completely agree with that. Marty McFly saying I'm bearish on the metaverse. Not sure if going to participate in the next other side drop. It's just so much land. So that's on a micro level. The macro take, like if you're in Web3, you know that we spend a increasingly amount of time in the metaverse. And I say metaverse, but I mean our phones, Web2 applications. Of
Yeah,
course, in Web3, we want to see
capital M
ownership.
metaverse.
Yeah.
Capital M metaverse is this whole digital experience, right?
Yeah, very very slowly and then all at once, I think is a good way to kind of think about the metaverse adoption over time. So we'll continue to
Nice.
watch. We'll be here covering it every day and talk about how we can employ Web3 values into that as we go. But I
And
do have one
we're gonna
last
figure out the
piece.
winners. We're gonna figure out the winners, Q. We're gonna talk about them all and figure out the
I speaking of winners, right? Like as far as this related to the sandbox, because the tokens were brought up, right? Gala Games, Mana,
sand.
Sandbox,
Yeah.
Sand, the ERC20 or the fungible token of that ecosystem. It's like, do you buy the land or do you buy the token? And I would love to have maybe a more like analytical or more stats driven debate on that, and like what has done well over the most amount of time. You always have to account for the liquidity factor, especially with like land. I've had a sandbox land there for a long time. Actually, let me show that. I want to show you guys because I bring this up all the time. I might as well show
Yeah, let's go,
where
Q.
we're at in the sandbox. But liquidity is always a factor here. Like you're able to sell those tokens way more. So what this map looked like was essentially like cut in, like if you follow my cursor, this was the land initially that they did with the land sale. So we were able to get in there. We were able to sell 2 plots, and then we still have this one. And unfortunately, it says for sale, like a cuck. And I don't think that was like way long ago when ETH. Well,
88 ETH.
yeah. So when Sandbox was popping off, you could get that. So I don't know what the interests are. I haven't had it for sale for a while, but I'm hoping Atari come out with something because you got a big ass plot right there.
You're talking. You're
that I can
talking how
get to.
bullish you are, but you're trying to offload it. So I don't know, man.
That's fair. I'm not as bullish on Sandbox now as I was in the beginning. I will go ahead
Interesting.
and say that. But great talks on the metaverse. George Orwell's 1984 is being brought up by Santino. Last couple, because we do have to get out of here. This was a long episode. You had just me and GIF here on today's episode. Hopefully you appreciated our mugs on the camera without any of the other roundtable folks. Last couple things. FTX finds over $5 billion in liquid assets. They were able to claw back $5 billion here. Again, do your own research.
This just doesn't even make sense.
Was it just like it was under a couch somewhere?
Yeah,
the $5 billion.
Yeah, it was under a fucking NFT NYC hoodie in the corner of his bedroom. And he's just like, oh, there it is. It's just like in an old jacket pocket, from last conference. He just forgot about it.
This comes directly from the article. Located over $5 billion of cash, liquid cryptocurrency, and other liquid investments.
Who the fuck just loses and then finds $5 billion in liquid cash? This doesn't make any sense. Like I haven't read it, but all I know is that it doesn't add up. Like straight up.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this $5 billion in coins,
good luck.
And quarters.
Good luck. Maybe you'll find another $10 billion just reading through that article. Maybe it'll just pop up. Maybe
hey, as much as of a ridiculous headline as that is, if they can somehow add more assets to their books, I mean, you can potentially have a situation where people are paid back. The average Joe is potentially.
That's good news, and I'm happy to hear that. Also, it makes no fucking sense.
Okay, last bit here. We still didn't get anything from Yuga Labs or Bored Apes, but in literally the past.
Woo!
Let's go. Oh, jeez. I gotta. Gifted. Can you tell how excited Gifted is about his ape coin staking? Yeah. We've gotten a little pop here. So from like 490 to 503 where we're sitting right now. So maybe we're getting some, and that kind of sucks to say out loud, but sometimes when you get these token moves, it's in relation to like some insider information happening. So maybe we got some good news on the Bored Ape Yacht Club situation, the other deeds situation happening.
Hey, good news. Going out on good news. Came in on some rough news this morning, but we're ending the show on a positive note.
I wish I had the Game of Thrones theme song to play. Yeah. Always a great combo. Jack Sideways saying, as when I was saying LOL, that be the government payback after the attack on the market, not conspiracy. Jack Hideaway saying a few thousand degens were tracking all those FTX wallet transfers in real time the night of the crash. And then Squashman is continuously talking about this ApeCoin price. So maybe I'm refreshing. Like there's give us something. Give me something, Yuga. Still nothing.
Check back at 420, bro.
Yeah. The second I press end stream, there's going to be some fucking crazy announcement, of course.
Yeah.
GIF, phenomenal episode today. We will again be here tomorrow. What is the topic there on the GM Web3 morning show tomorrow? You mentioned it earlier.
Actually, I don't think I did, but we do have a topic. So tomorrow, I believe we are doing an AI deep dive with Matt Wolf, who's apparently an expert.
Next week.
Is it? Because let me double check real quick my Discord DMs just to make sure I'm not misstating this.
That would be
Yeah, because I thought it was this week. And am I crazy?
Yeah,
Taking a while.
Next Thursday. Next
Thursday? Okay. Then, all right. Then tomorrow, I don't know that we have a topic yet, but it's going to be fucking lit because it's the last show of the week. So you know it's going to be a good fucking time. And we'll come up with a great topic. If you've got good topics, let us know in the chat. If you've got something specific you want us to dive into. You know what feels relevant right now, and it's going to pain me, but I feel like it's going to be the talk of the next, couple days probably. Maybe doing another big brands, combo about like Game of Thrones and any others, like who else is coming into the space? What are they doing right and wrong? That could be another. Those conversations are usually really interesting. I think last time we did that, like the Bill Murray team came on, like right when they were doing their drop. That was interesting.
I didn't. The Bill Murray drop.
On Coinbase. The Bill. No, their team came on, like right when that happened, and like tried to explain what they were doing right and wrong, and it was interesting.
We're dragging this out, folks, hoping that 511. Like this this thing's getting some rocket fuel here.
I need to go move some things around. I need to go make some moves.
Gift Dad needs to sell some feet picks to buy some ape coins so that he can eventually get a floor Game of Thrones NFT.
I'm not selling my feet picks, bro. I'm hodling feet picks, bro.
Those are going to the cold wallet instantaneously. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Our Vibe, our tribe. Great conversation as always. Prodigy, Squashman, Jax, Cutie, Santino, Asmodai, all of you guys in chat. Alien River, Winebags. We love you guys. We couldn't do it without you. We appreciate it. And Gifted, I appreciate you as well, my man. We will be back here tomorrow. Peace.